I never knew that I always knew that that's what I wanted to do. And it's just simply, it was a dream I had when I was a little kid, because I was always a good swimmer and I loved to swim and I liked being underwater.
I'm not sure how many of the viewers out there right now might be feeling that, I've done these things, but gosh, there's something missing. And so, in knowing that there was something missing, I knew that I could take all that I'd learned and be able to give that to people on a broader level.
Hello everybody, welcome to Mindset Simplified, and this show is going to introduce you to those mindset experts and most successful people from all over the world who will share their experience of most challenging situations in their journey and how they managed to overcome, so that you don't need to spend your time in doing the same mistakes again. Rather focus on your growth to make way for highest level of success in your life much faster. And today's guests are Steve Dinena and Christina Cintron. Steve, his life so far itself is an inspiration for many. He is the co-founder of Global Speaker Academy, which works in collaboration with Master Sri Akarshana in providing speaker training to empower people to find their voice, confidence, and charisma. Steve was extremely successful in his profession, making more than six-figure income in dollars, and he traveled all around the world. But he still felt there was something missing. He started seeking purpose and found out that he's meant to make impact in millions of people out there at a different level altogether. Now, every week on week, he touches hundreds of people, if not thousands of. And simply, a seeker's journey became a speaker's journey. He's also known as a Scuba Steve, as he's a master scuba diver, but that's for another day. And Christina Cintron is also a co-founder of Global Speaker Academy, a lead trainer and a career and life coach. She was a business leader and a human resource partner for North American and global manufacturing industry. Christina is like, beacon of positivity, light, and motivation to everyone around her and those whom she actually impacts online. She leverages that motivation to empower others to help them in find their story and voice to become thought leaders. She's on a mission to impact millions of lives across the world, but she gives attention to changing lives one story at a time. For me, they're not just partners in business, they're partners in impact, making huge impact. Help me to welcome Steve and Christina. Hi Steve, how are you doing? Hi Christina.
Hello, thank you so much for having us.
And first of all, I want to really ask, you are a power couple, and I always, keep saying it. How come, this question is for you too, Steve. How come when you're actually making a six-figure income in a corporate world where you've been successful, you have a team that they work on, really under you, what makes you to come out of that comfortable journey into where you are right now?
Well, because it wasn't really comfortable, I guess, deep down inside. I mean, a lot of people, they tend to just focus on the surface or the material, right? The perception of success. So they say, oh, well, you had a really great job and you made a lot of money and you had really great benefits and you worked with really great people, which is all really wonderful. And most people don't have that. And I don't believe that I was taking it for granted whatsoever. I spent 21 years to get there. And when I finally achieved it, I just realized this can't be it. Like there's more, there has to be more to life. And as I started exploring what I could do, I found myself really limited in the particular job that I was in. And because of the amount of experience that I had in the working world, whether it was corporate America, whether it was contracting for myself, didn't matter what it was, I found that the end result, they were all very, very similar. I'm limited by someone else. So when I finally started this journey, like my personal development journey, and started to uncover that all of the power no matter what you do has to do with speaking. It was a mountain for me to climb for sure. But once I got to that point where confidence was no longer a problem, I could feel the fear and do it anyway. I knew the speaker template. I knew how to deliver really impactful, like my message, I knew how to deliver that in such an impactful way. And when I learned that I could teach others to do the same thing and started doing it, suddenly I experienced something that I'd never really experienced before in my life, which was true fulfillment by empowering other people. So being able, like I call it having the luxury of being able to create a global business that impacts people all around the world, and that actually be your job, right? That be your life. It's the most amazing thing ever. It's just, it's amazing.
Wow. I mean, that needs definitely, guts, right? Because as I see it, people who are actually in the bracket of 6-figure plus, they must have already created some assets behind, and also they must be already having, some people most likely having loans, probably for house, or the whole journey is going to be really burdensome if they want to think anything beyond, right? And I mean, this is something which people have been stopping themselves to go out and there, do what they like. Christina, what is that? You kind of inspired you to actually come into this journey. I know, coming from manufacturing industry, getting into what you're doing right now is absolutely different, right? What was your motivation to get into this?
Yeah, so there wasn't a whole lot of examples growing up. So as I looked around and I thought, all right, well, I know I want to go into business. I know that I want to have finances because I know I'm going to have the responsibility or take the responsibility of taking care of my family. So I thought, all right, I look around, how do you do that? Well, you get into business. Well, what does that mean? Well, I don't really know. I don't really have anybody that's done that. So go to school and then start working for a large company. And I figured I'll go into a large company, I'll start at the bottom and I'll figure it out. I'll figure out what my niche is, what I want to do. And it just so happens that I end up in manufacturing, and I end up really enjoying being able to work with people. And that's what did it for me. I was able to teach people how to do their jobs or encourage them, speaking with them. And sometimes there was discipline, all of those lessons that go with just treating people. And it didn't matter how old they were, didn't matter where they came from, what language they spoke. We're just all people. And I learned that. I had the gift of learning at a very young age, but also as a part of my mission to need to make sure that I had the finances, I started off as a first line supervisor. And so at the time, I think I was making like $35,000, $33,000, right? So much less than my college tuition was. But I was doing it and I was growing and growing and growing. So by the end of my career, as I continued to want to make a difference, I knew that the levels were not just levels for money, where I got to the point where I was 8 times that amount, 9 times that amount, but it was levels of influence. And what I learned there is how you communicate with people will make all of the difference. And that's what makes a leader, to be able to share that vision, to be able to make people feel good. And it became such a big part of me. And so I got to the point where I thought, well, I know I want to make a difference, and I know that I am, but there's something missing. And so I'm not sure how many of the viewers out there right now might be feeling that, I've done these things, but gosh, there's something missing. And so in knowing that there was something missing, I knew that I could take all that I learned, all that I trained for, and be able to give that to people on a broader level, so that they could not only understand that they too can have influence, they too have a message, they too have a lifelong and their own story that they can share with other people, to provide them with inspiration, to be able to make sure that they can take what they know, they can become better at it, and they can make more money from it, so that they can do those things like be able to support their families. They can do all of those things that brings them the great joy, their purpose, what it is that their desires and hopes are. And so my journey, never expected it to be this way. Always thought I would continue in corporate America, but there are so many beautiful lessons that I've learned that allow me to be here today and allow me the skills to be able to share that with other people.
Wow, that's inspiring. But I tell you what, you are literally talking, I could clearly, connect to you, because I came from the same journey as well, where there was something called, I'm missing. But it's not just, about you and me. There are millions of people, pretty much they have this kind of thing in and around 30s, right? They start seeing money coming in, but they feel that they're really missing. My question is, what kind of mindset has helped you to overcome? Because the moment you say, I'm missing something, I want to do something new, the fear start kicking in. So what kind of mindset has helped you in actually overcoming that fear so that you could start, your journey of your dreams? Like, you're really helping out people and also making money. What kind of mindset is really, really helpful to start the journey?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. Oftentimes, when I would have a new group of people, we would do something called a new leader transition. And in that session, it's a kind of a get to know you back and forth, going through the norming phase of the team. And in that, I would always express to them that I'm a servant leader. And that notion of being a servant leader is what transponds into what we're doing even now and what it is that I've chosen to do. Because knowing that, what was missing is knowing that I could serve on an even higher level outside of the scope or the box that I put myself into. So as people start to perhaps think about, what they could do differently or what skills can take them over, everyone has their thing. So for me, it was to know that I had this natural ability to want to serve. And it's okay if people don't have that, but they have something that makes them unique and special, their gift, their God-given gift. And I think that is when you find it, that's then all of a sudden that spark goes off, and then you're able to do your thing. And that's then the difference you can make in the world. That's the change that you can make.
I mean, Steve, how do you find that gift? This is really important. What you made is such an important point. How do I find my gift? That's going to be, biggest question for the people who are watching this.
How do you find your gift? There's not a really simple answer to that question, Rajesh. So,
Scuba Steve.
I say that, yeah, exactly. I say that because we literally take people on that journey, right? So in all of the things we do, whether it's us doing a free masterclass or a challenge or something like that, or whether it's any one of our paid events, every part of that is to either introduce them to or take them through a journey of finding your message, right? So there are definitely steps to do this. And what I found, the one consistency that I found, especially for people who claim they have no idea what it is. So first of all, we know from experience, everybody knows what it is. They just think they don't, right?
Like, fear.
And we were the same. We were exact same. We're like, I don't know what it is, what my thing is. Part of that discovery is really self-discovery. It legit is personal development, because as you start on this path and you start growing and you start opening your mind, right, to be receptive to things, suddenly the world just opens up and you gravitate towards whatever that thing is. I know we joke, I love her joke, but I mean, like, the Scuba Steve thing, it's fun and it's funny and it's true, but for me, it's one of those things that was like, I never knew that I always knew that that's what I wanted to do. And it was a dream I had when I was a little kid, because I was always a good swimmer and I loved to swim and I liked being underwater. But it was something that I could never pursue. Well, circumstances of my life just prevented that from happening for, I don't know, 2 decades or so. And I was literally newly minted single at the time. I had moved across the United States just to get away, just to hit the reset button on life and go find myself, right? And I was literally just driving down the road, speeding, by the way, I was going too fast. And I saw this sign that said, like, this month or this week only, get certified for $199. And I literally stomped on the brakes and I just tore in there. It wasn't on my mind. It wasn't like, hey, this is what I've always wanted to do, or I want to learn how to do this. It's just, I was in that place. I was in a very receptive place and open to signs. And literally I saw a sign that was like, hey, do this. And it just clicked. My whole life suddenly, like, subconsciously came out and said, that's what you want to do. And it's a fun story to tell, but I literally, when I got in there and I walked in the door and I just slammed my my credit card on the counter and I was like, I want to get certified. Can we start now? Like literally right now. Can we start now? They're like, no, we have to wait till Saturday. We have to go through all these questions first. And I was like, no, you don't. Trust me. There's no stopping me. And I literally, as they were explaining it to me, I remember looking at the sign on the wall and going through everything. And I was like, okay, you have to get this certification. And I looked straight up and I was like, master diver. That's what I want. I want to be that one. And it was just part of the journey. That's the thing. So it took time, obviously, for me to get there. It took, it's been 8 years now that I've been diving. And it's been hundreds of dives. But now that's just, to me, it's like that thing that I do now, right? It wasn't like, at the time, it was my passion. Like, this is what I'm all about. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But I knew that that's not how I wanted to survive, right? I knew that I didn't want to depend on it and make money on it. I wanted to do that as a recreational hobby. So the next step eventually was, what do I want to do to generate income? And then I found, I uncovered digital marketing, and it was like, okay, I have to invest in myself, because I was in that personal mindset, that personal growth mindset. So I achieved that. And then the next step was, I literally got told, you need to be a coach and a speaker. And I was like, what? If you knew me before this, you would laugh just like you'd be like, no way would that guy ever be a speaker. And I went through the same thing that everybody else did. And I think, I mean, I'll let Christina speak for herself, but I think she went through a lot of the same kind of stuff. Like, I would over summarize it as self-doubt, right? Because I would have the same thoughts everybody else did, but like me, wait, no, I can't do that. I'm not good enough. Who am I? No one cares about me. I'm a nobody. All those things would go through my head, which is just fear, right? But along the way, you're exposed to things, like real things that make you think. Simple phrases like faith and fear both demand that you believe in the unseen. And a lot of people, when they hear that, they think about that. Most people think about faith. And they usually will think about like, oh, it's this mystical mumbo jumbo, whatever it is, whether it's spirituality, religion, doesn't matter. People think of it that way, but they never think of fear that way. And when I heard that, it caused me to pause and go, So all of those things that I just mentioned, I'm not good enough, I can't do it, I'm not qualified, all that stuff, that's all fear, and it's not fact. There's no evidence proving this. Like, I believe something that is just as mystical as faith could be, right? So things like that, it's parts of the journey, right? Those sorts of things, as long as your mind is open, I could give you 100 quotes like that, by the way. But it's almost like they have to be timed. You know, when you're ready to hear them, they will resonate with you, and they will open you up, and then suddenly you will be on that path to discovering what your true passion is. I know that everyone's passion, though, everyone's greatest, like the highest human need is the need for contribution, which means you've got to find that thing that you love to do, that you're really good at, that contributes beyond yourself, that has an impact on other people. I never knew, nor did I ever expect, nor did I even want to be a speaker or train people how to speak. That was never in my paradigm of things I want to do and things I want to be, ever. And to be honest with you, it's not what I want to be, but I know it's what I'm meant to be. And I know how I feel when I have an impact on other people. When I teach people to get to that place, to find the thing that they're passionate about, to open them up, to empower them, to encourage them, to see somebody break through fear, it's the greatest thing. And you have friends for life, whether you like it or not. I mean, people send us thank you mails every single week. Wow. So it's an absolute amazing feeling. I would just say, to that end, whatever it is, for those people watching who think, I already know, I know what my message is, and I want to get it out there, and I want to learn how to do it, and I want to know how to deliver it, I want to know how to speak. There is another critical component to this whole thing. Is the fact is we live in a world of money. So it's great to be able to do this for people, but if you're not generating income, you're not going to help anybody. You just can't, right? And like you said, we both have responsibilities. Yeah, we had huge careers, And so we have a house and we have cars and we need to eat and we have to get dressed, that kind of thing. So it's a piece of the equation that I find that most people, myself included, have a really hard time with when you feel that good about business. When what you do feels so good, it's the kind of stuff that you share with your friends that you don't really, you don't normally attach value to, because it's something that you just do for free with people that you like. So that's a very big paradigm shift that a lot of people have a hard time with, valuing themselves.
I mean, what I see is, if somebody is not making that as a career, which is making certain money, it will not sustain long. Maybe they can actually help people, but then they'll not be even able to inspire more people to come in, because it's all about having money as one of the key ingredients, so that whether at least sustainability in the beginning and flourishing at the later stage must be included, right?
Yeah.
And I just want to ask, how do you guys actually kind of take these people from this want to be to a meant to be, something that you mentioned just now, right? How do you take people in the journey of, if I ask anybody, most of the time I get the response saying that I want to be a millionaire, I want to be a speaker, I want to be. But then what is meant to be could be different from what they want to be. So is that some certain processes you take people through the journey for them to understand what they meant can be, meant to be can be something huge, so that they get what they want at the end?
Yeah. I think everyone's in a different place on their journey, and everyone has a different readiness there. So kind of what Steve mentioned earlier is, I can throw all these quotes at you, but it's not going to land unless you're ready to hear it. So depending upon where people are on their journey, where we can come in is in anything that someone wants to do, in anything, whether it is digital marketing or whether it is computer programming, or perhaps it's being on a stage and being a speaker, you have to communicate. And people communicate all of the time, whether they know it or not. And if you want to be able to sell your idea, if you want to be able to tell your child to clean up their room, you have to communicate to influence. You have to communicate for impact. And so no matter where someone is on their journey, to understand that skill and to know that they are an expert at what they know. They don't have to wait till they get to a certain point. They have it right now, and they can take action right now for wherever they are on their journey and wherever their readiness is. And we go through exercises where we literally shake people up so much, it's kind of like a can of a carbonated drink. And when you open it and it pops open, you just never come back into the same form that you were before. And so what that does is, all of those limiting beliefs that someone had, or any fears they may have had where they didn't think they could do something, or that isn't for them, or in their culture that isn't okay, they're able to go from that fixed mindset to that growth mindset. They're on that journey of personal development. And so now the world is bigger. It's so much bigger, and they're open to do different things. So maybe on their path, this is where they are, but they start right now working on that skill of communicating to influence, of communicating to impact. And that then allows and opens up the door for them to take more and more opportunities. And, we have this saying, and you know it too, when you see an opportunity, you must grab it. And it's so, when someone hears that, they're just like, okay, that sounds cool. That's okay, whatever. But when you really understand that, and you're shaken up to such a point where that's an automatic, you don't hesitate, you don't question yourself, you don't doubt yourself, you just know, okay, yeah, I'm ready. Oh, there's this opportunity, yeah, I'm ready. And that then allows them to continue on, and they have that ability again to communicate for impact and communicate to influence. So that's what I would say to that person, of wherever they are on the journey. Wherever you are is okay. It's not wrong. It's just where you are. And if you're open to it, there's so much that's open to you that you can do right now.
Wow. So opening up the mind for them to express, that there are bigger possibilities is the first step. Is my understanding right?
Yeah.
Opening up the mind for
being open-minded is huge, and a lot of people think they are. It's like anything. It's a defense mechanism, right? Or a defensive reaction. You say, "Are you open-minded?" Yes, because somehow there's this negative connotation to being closed-minded, right?
Yeah.
The reality is most people are closed-minded, and it's not that they're closed-minded in a negative way or they're being belligerent or whatever. It's just that people are closed-minded because they have a perception of reality, right? They live in their reality, and so it's very closed-minded. Like we all are that in some way. Like
Don't know what you don't know.
I believe that, right? You don't know what you don't know. Exactly. So I believe that the sky is blue, and I'm pretty sure everyone else does too, right?
Yeah.
But the difference is I'm open-minded to listen to data that says I'm wrong. It doesn't mean it's going to change my mind, but I'm certainly open to listening to what somebody might have to say. So one of the things that I'd love to bring up in that regard is because somehow people believing that the earth is flat has come back into reality. So I mentioned that in a lot of the classes that we do when I talk about, it's usually first day, whenever I teach people about this, I mention like some people believe the world is round and some people believe the world is flat. So who's right and who's wrong, right? And then there will be people who are just adamant, like, it's round, there's all this proof, there's this blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, but do you see that the people who believe it's flat are the same level of passionate that you are? But it sounds crazy to you. But what you're saying sounds crazy to them. And so I go through this whole dance, like I do that with religion, it just depends on the crowd. It's like who's right, who's wrong, or is anybody right, or is anybody wrong?
It doesn't matter.
And yeah, exactly, and doesn't really matter. So it comes back to that perception is reality, and then when that clicks, suddenly it's like, okay, that's like the first step. I'm kind of opening my mind now. So what are you saying? And so like you said, and she said, when you see an opportunity, you must grab it. You asked about knowing, like, I know what I want to do, but is that what I meant to do? My perception is yes. My answer to that question would be yes. And I say that not because I know that I'm right or I think that I'm right. My experience tells me what you think about, you bring about, right? What you focus on expands. If you're open-minded enough, that thing that you believe you're meant to do will come true. If you say yes to every opportunity and you figure it out later. So if you want to be a speaker and somebody asks you to speak, I don't care if it's in a kindergarten class, right?
Yeah.
If someone asks you to do something and it's remotely close to that thing that you want to do, say yes. You just say yes and figure it out later, because you never know. You could be in a class, like go to kindergarten, for example, and deliver a speech to a bunch of kids who have no idea what you're saying. But one of their parents could be there and they could hear you and go, wow, this person's a really good speaker. And then they could say, hey, are you familiar with whatever? Would you like to speak at this thing? Because I think you'd be really good at it. Yes. Even if it's nothing that you know how to do. Yes. Like whatever you can do, the path will unfold for you if you're pursuing that thing that you are really passionate about and or the thing that you're meant to do. So it's having that open mind is critical. It is literally kind of the first step to the whole journey of being open. That doesn't mean say yes to everything, right?
Yes, man.
Right, exactly.
Yes, man.
Go watch the movie Yes Man and you'll really know what that means.
I know, I've seen that movie. But what you're bringing power is not just for somebody who wants to go out there and speak on the stage. This is for everybody, be it in the corporate world or just coming, trying to give a perfect interview, or somebody who is an entrepreneur, or I mean, just like you said, a father who wants to get things done with the daughter, right? Like me. So
that would resonate with him.
So this is literally for everybody who wants to have that influence in communication, building the confidence, right? Is that what you mean? It's just literally for anyone and everyone, isn't it?
Every aspect of life, for sure, just like you mentioned. I mean, it could be husband-wife relationships is huge for communication, right? Any relationship, family relationships, whether that's, your parents or your kids or cousins or whatever it is. business, like you mentioned, whether it's job interviews, like that's critical, right?
Yeah.
Just having that confidence in job interviews, but understanding how to communicate with influence is a total game changer.
Yeah.
Like I think the last interview that I did was very much like what we teach people how to do. And I just took control, and it wasn't an aggressive thing. It was so subtle, no one understood what was going on. But when it comes to that, when it comes to any presentation, right, I'll give everybody a huge nugget right now. So if you're watching this video, write this down. But the person who asks the questions is the person in control. So in a job interview, consider the nature, the dynamic that you have been conditioned to expect and respond to. You expect to go in and get grilled with a bunch of questions, hope that you answer them the way that that person wants to hear them, and then maybe you'll get the job or the promotion or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But what if you knew how to change that dynamic? What if you let them lob the first question and then suddenly all of the questions came from you? And all of your questions you knew were answering the questions that they were gonna ask. But the questions that you were asking were not only giving out answers, they were giving you control, they were giving you confidence, and they were just blowing them away.
This is really powerful. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in fact, what you're saying is, I mean, we can conduct the interview literally from our perspective and driving the interview from our side. Is it really possible?
Yeah. Well, having worked in HR for over 20 years, I would say that probably is not very traditional.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
But I think with most human interactions, be it, elderly to child, be it manager to person that's interviewing, asking questions, you're able to understand their perspective, right? You're able to understand if the person does have a closed mindset, right? You're able to understand those things. So even on something like, hi, so how's your day going so far? Oh, you must have a lot of interviews happening today. Even in that interaction, you're able to then observe and understand the person is tired, or the person is irritated, or whatever it might be. Those are all the pieces of communication as well. Again, we're communicating all of the time. So perhaps you may not be able to be as seasoned as this guy and ask questions and take over the interview. However, being able to ask questions is going to hook the mind. Also, asking questions, open-ended questions, are going to allow for you to understand more about that person, so that whatever it is, however you're trying to have impact or influence, you understand how that message is going to land for them. Because the other nugget that I would tell everyone is, when you're communicating, it's not about you, right? And I heard this from one of the other videos that you did, one of the other interviews, is oftentimes, we end up being, we're in control of our own reaction to things. But when you're communicating, you're trying to influence other people, it's not about you, right? And so in that exchange, as you're asking questions, be it in the interview or anywhere else, you're really trying to understand, where is the person coming from? Where are they right now? Because whatever it is that you're trying to do, whatever deal you're trying to close, you need to understand how you can get there. And in asking questions, you're able to do that. And that's a huge part of communicating.
Wow. I mean, which means everything you voice out has an influence, positively or negatively. It's all about you getting trained or understanding the nuances and then, become a master at it. Is it right? And I'm also seeing something right behind you, master your voice. It's catching my attention. Is that something to do with this?
Absolutely. And in Master Your Voice, it's our 3-day event. And it really takes people through an experiential learning activity throughout the entire 3 days. It's very engaging. And you then end up having to be a part of it. And so as a result, it becomes a part of you. So you come out of these 3 days totally transformed. And so all of those skills, whether it's the verbal communication, whether it's physiology, because we know that physiology is huge, not only for communicating your message, but communicating to yourself, right? In terms of the verbal and the nonverbal and tonality. And I'll let you take it from there, because we really do thoroughly love our Master Your Voice event, because we get to see firsthand someone from day 1 to day 3 be totally different, filled with confidence. And I'll let you take from there, because I can go on forever about it.
And I could too, so I'll try not to. But no, she's right. It's the most amazing and fulfilling experience for us, as well as everybody who comes through it. It's also very exhausting. It really takes a lot out of you. I mean, I won't speak for her. I'm pretty sure we're on the same page, but the second day, I'm going, oh my gosh, can I do this? Can I serve at this level for another day?
Absolutely.
and this is what I have, right? This is like, yes, you can, you know. Even though inside I know she's feeling the same way. So it has to be that way, though. It has to be that way, because it's when you're giving your all, people know. People just know, like, whether you're being real, whether you're being authentic. And one thing that we do, because of our mentors, actually, we were very, very fortunate. We have a number of mentors that all subscribe to the same theory, the same teaching, the same learning, and the thing that they do themselves. And I mean, there's lots of it, but everything comes down to this one thing. Whenever it comes to deliver, over deliver. Always over deliver. So, for example, when it comes to our event, that's why they're so long and why they're so intense, because even at the end of the day, I'm giving more. And sometimes she's looking at me like, what are you doing? Like, we're not going to have any time for sleep. And I'm like, but I can just feel it. I can feel it, like they need something. There's questions, or somebody needs practice, or whatever it is. I can just feel it. Even through camera, right? Because we're in these fun COVID times. But again, that's another aspect of, life, if you want to get that deep. But communication, and then there's the whole thing about persistence, mindset, right? We could have easily, like a lot of people did, quit and said, well, we can't do live events. It's too hard. We have to figure out how to do it some other way. But you just find a way. I mean, when you know what you're supposed to do, it doesn't even matter whether you're doing what you want to do, or what you're supposed to do, or just what you think you have to do to get by, right? It doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing. You will for sure have challenge, no matter what. And the closer you are to that thing that you want to get, the bigger the challenges are going to be. Yeah. So here we are, it's like starting a company, right? Starting a company and a global business where we've spoken all around the world. We've been to, I remember 2019, we were in 6 different countries and 63 cities together.
Ooh.
As we traveled around. Right. I wish we'd have known you at the time, because we were in Bangalore for one of them. But yeah, like no matter what you do, you're gonna have some huge challenge. Knowing that that's coming, having the right mindset, and being solution focused will get you through every time. I'm not saying it will be easy. Yeah. For sure, it's going to be challenging, and you will start digging things up that you did not realize were there. I've gone through, I'd like to believe, a number of cleansings, but it's painful to know that you're not done yet. To think that you've overcome, to know that you've overcome something, but then to learn later, that was only the surface of the really big problem. So you've got to dig deeper, right? You've got to find, like, keep digging those roots up, right? And keep feeling the fear, doing it anyway. Just be fearless, take fearless action. And sometimes fearless action means you feel fear, but you do it anyway, right? Yeah. You know what you're supposed to do, feel the fear, do it anyway.
Yeah. So in the 3-day event, we're able to give people that environment where they do feel the fear, and they're able to do it anyway. They're able to go through the emotional roller coaster of understanding that whatever mess they had gone through in the past, perhaps it's for a reason, and they can make that mess their message, as they say, and they're able to then frame it up in such a way that they can literally help one person, help 10 people, or help millions, depending upon where they are on their journey. But they're able to then take ownership. They're able to take whatever may have happened and come into their power. And in that, they're able to build their confidence. So they not only come out of that with understanding how to communicate and a template that they can use in any part of their lives and whatever it is that they're doing, but they also come out of it with a level of confidence in themselves and their abilities. And then they're also shown some different things that are more subconscious to folks on how they can communicate with charisma. And so it is an amazing 3 days of transformation.
And everything you do, whether it's Master Your Voice, whether it's a free challenge, doesn't matter what we do. Even our, we recently created a group for this as well. We created a Facebook group for this as well. But providing a space where you can only succeed, which is one of the things that I know makes us really unique, because there really are not a lot of people in our industry to begin with, right? Which is good on one hand because, hey, not that much competition, right? But no matter what, you have to set yourself apart. You have to set yourself above somehow. And that comes with that over-delivery mentality. Well, one of the many things that we do, and Master Your Voice is probably the best examples, is providing a space where you cannot fail. You can't. We will push you outside of your comfort zone. We will make you showed up to speak, so we're going to make you speak, right?
Yeah.
But I promise you, it will feel awesome. You will feel like you achieved, like you just won from doing it. No one ever feels like, oh, I failed, I screwed up. There's never any of that. And that's the thing, I think the biggest thing that sets us apart that I've noticed in general.
I mean, this is really, really amazing. Guys, see, dig deeper. You know, find out your message, master your voice, start the journey. You're meant for something big. It is just that you have not started your journey, the real meant to be journey. It's time right now to start. Whatever may be the situation you're in, you still need to communicate to influence, whether you're simply a father or you're talking about starting a business, or you want to even start a career, or you want to actually get promoted within a corporate structure. For everything, your voice matters. But you need to start the journey. If you don't start the journey, failure is guaranteed. But at least if you start the journey, you start identifying how big stage that you really belong to. And if at all, you have to really understand, go through this video 2-3 times, because literally, you know, Steve and Christina brought up some of the most important aspects of how you can find your voice and master it. Otherwise, just join, you know, one of the free challenge or master your voice, that life transforming event. All the links are going to be in the description. You can just go and start the journey. I mean, Steve and Christina, is there any last few words that you want to actually convey to the people, you know, before we can kind of conclude this interesting conversation?
So I would just say thank you, Rajesh. I don't know if you think back 10 years ago, if you knew that you would be hosting a show like this and being able to bring people forward to share their message. So I thank you for breaking out of your comfort zone, for you taking yourself on this journey that was likely unexpected, because that's all of our stories, right? But knowing that you are making a difference, and our paths are now crossing and crossed, and we're able to now be with you, both of us communicating and sharing our message, and hopefully touching other people to understand that whatever it is that you went through, there was a purpose for it, and perhaps it's in mastering that message so that you can share that with others. And so I don't know if we'll give it away here in terms of genuinely a gift. So a gift to those of you that do go into the links below, so that you might be able to get our roadmap, so that you can begin to take the steps, so that you can master your message. You can follow the steps and go along, because knowing that you can do it, knowing that maybe we don't know you, but we know you. We've been on the same path. And so believe in yourself, know that you can do it. So click below, get the roadmap, and use that to help you along on your journey.
Wow, this is icing on the cake, I would say. I mean, I was telling start the journey, but you are gifting them away on how to even start the journey with this roadmap. So I can only say that make sure to actually click that, take that gift. It's going to be only for a limited number of people, and make sure that before you're able to take the chance and start the journey. But otherwise, Steve and Christina, thank you so much. You have been really, so generous in sharing your stories so honestly. And I mean, it's an inspiration. I mean, from where you started to where you ended up and where you're actually heading. The whole journey is inspirational, and so many people are going to find your voice because of this video and every single program that you're doing. And thank you so much once again. And all of you guys, if you have not subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe, and also share with the people you think they didn't find the voice or they didn't find the journey yet. Make sure to share with them, and I'll see you with another interesting episode in next week. Yes, next week. And I say bye-bye. Bye-bye.